This actual play is intended for mature audiences and contains themes some viewers may find upsetting. Please check each episode's show notes for specific content warnings and enjoy the show with care.
Okay, we are back with the Between. Let's do some recapping, especially for Matt's benefit. So, you currently have 2 active threats. You resolved the Demon of Kilburn Abbey last time. Congratulations. And you now have 2 active threats. One is Sally No Face. This is the one where we have a serial killer who is killing people. We learned poisoning them, paralyzing them, and then surgically removing their faces. We don't know to what end. And you have 3 different ways of tackling this problem, and you have collected 4 clues to that end. You also still have available the special aspect of the Janus mask available for that one called the Mask of Beauty. We have a new threat or newer threat in the Reaver's Last Victim. This is actually a side threat. It does not count toward the total count of threats for all other rules purposes that refer to total threat counts. And it's a fairly low stakes, not dangerous threat. Basically, a number of years ago, a member of Hargrave House was a serial killer, Roger the Reaver, and Hargrave House didn't stop him. And one of his victims, the remains were never found, but the family has come to Hargrave House kind of insisting that you find the remains of their family member, the last victim of the Reaver, because you're kind of partially responsible, and in a certain sense, they think. And you have 3 night phases to do that before the matriarch of that family dies without knowing peace that her family member, that her poor grandson or son, whoever it was not laid to rest. That one has special investigation rules. Matt, if you want to do that at some point, if you want to investigate that side threat, I'll explain the rules to you then. And so that's where things stand with our active threats. You do have the mastermind still going on, and you have your mastermind question. How is Mrs. Brathwaite trying to bring down the crown? That is a complexity, I believe we decided it's a complexity 8, if I'm not mistaken, and you have 5 clues for that. Let's see if there's anything else we should be reminded of. Maybe we take a look at the hunters and look at conditions. Haskell, you don't have any right now. Dr. Mortimer, you have 3, including ghoulish, which was a very fun condition to inflict upon you. And Ms. Jean-Baptiste, you have 2 conditions. I'll remind you that the easiest way to clear conditions is to do the vulnerable move with 1 or more other hunters, or alternatively, you can do it by yourself or with a side character. And so just kind of bear that in mind. And I think that's pretty much it. Is there anything else? I do want to remind you about some Hargrave House advancements that you still have available as well. You do have this new map room move, which whenever you feel like you need to, you can go play with the orrery and cause weird things to happen. Also, Jenny Johnston has joined Hargrave House as well. Consulting Jenny about matters related to East London gets you an extra clue. She could be particularly helpful on Sally No Face, given that most of the events around that threat are in Whitechapel. Are there any questions or anything I need to be reminded of before I continue? Fantastic. Then let's carry on with the day phase. It's the day phase. A number of weeks have passed since the events of Kilburn Abbey, and I'm going to go so far as to say we're in December now. We are in early December. It's very, very cold. The city is quite miserable right now, but it is getting to be the holidays, and so that's something. And you have a new threat that has presented itself. The St. James's Street Ghost. A back issue of the Illustrated Police News, a tabloid notorious for carrying salacious, blood-curdling tales of dubious provenance, has a story about a young maid, Jenny Hess, who was found dead, apparently from shock, in her employer's St. James's Street townhouse some months ago. The story claims the townhouse is haunted and that it was almost certainly the appearance of a ghost that caused the young maid to die of fright. After a cursory inquiry, you learn the precise address of the haunting, the so-called haunting, 18 St. James's Street, and the name of the family that lives there, the Beals. I'm going to direct this question to Ms. Jean-Baptiste. Most tales of hauntings are complete nonsense, especially those carried by the Illustrated Police News, but Hargrave House has some experience with ghosts, as you might imagine, and a particular detail in this story confirms that this is a legitimate haunting. What is it?
It was the way in which she died. Most people, when claimed to die of fright, there's some other condition that caused it, something you can find when the body's inspected, but this girl was young and healthy, and she died on her feet without a word, without a whisper, stood and then fell as if frozen. It was the lack of any noise that really drew me in.
So, this was a back issue of the Illustrated Police News, meaning there is no longer a body that can be investigated to confirm their story. Sorry, Dr. Mortimer. And the mortuary may not be much help. In any case, Dr. Haskell, well, I don't know. Dr. Haskell might have a lot to say about it, who knows? Or Gestrel, rather. Dr. Gestrel might have a lot to say about it. But in any case, your best lead here is to just go to the house, I'm guessing. But I'm open to other ideas as well. So you have 3 active threats now. I'm going to go around the table and see what everyone's interested in doing for this day phase. If someone wants to try to frame up vulnerable move scenes, I think that's a great idea. If you need to do that, let's just start with Dr. Mortimer.
So as day breaks over Hargrave House and she sees Ms. Jean-Baptiste combing through the back issues of said salacious magazine, and the details and the lack of a fresh body just does not appeal to her. There's a more pressing issue on her mind, and she looks for Haskell.
So a scene with you and Haskell to start. I like that very much. We'll get to that in a moment. Ms. Jean-Baptiste, what would you like to do today?
I'm very intrigued by this story. More than anything, I might want to visit the household. See what's left behind.
Haskell, where does Dr. Mortimer find you?
I think probably preparing her not back issues of today's press. I've got like a big stack of papers, and Haskell is now taken to reading them cover to cover, and Lord knows what time he wakes up for this, and cutting out just the sections needed and then holding them together with a big bulldog clip and then burning the rest. So probably in the kitchen doing that.
Anything of note?
Isn't there always, Mum?
Anything fresh, Haskell? You know what I mean.
Regrettably not.
Curses. Well, then there's nothing more to it. Right, grab your cloak. We're heading into Central. Fetch the carriage. I need to drop by the theatre.
The theater. Very interesting indeed. I'm curious what your intentions are, Dr. Mortimer.
A vulnerable scene, if you will.
Fantastic. We'll get to that in a moment. Miss Jean-Baptiste, this neighborhood where it's a townhome, is located is, I would say it's a very lovely middle-class neighborhood. This is a place where lawyers and accountants and people like that, social climbers, move to live and make connections. It's very cold, and normally the parks and promenades of this neighborhood would be filled with, nannies pushing perambulators and maybe young couples, walking next to each other in quiet, giggly congress, we'll say. Let's paint the scene, everyone. Does the winter weather make this place more beautiful or more desolate? Your interpretation. Tell me why.
I think that this being an aspirational neighborhood, there is always a few people who are perhaps at the lower end of those aspirations, and they don't quite have the right winter coat, or they don't quite have the most suitable shoes, and they stand out a little amongst the denizens of St. James's Street.
In the summer, when the leaves are heavy on the trees and the colours pop around the area, you would almost be mistaken for thinking that this is part of Kensington. It's the way, the new builds, it just looks pristine. But in the winter, when the snow falls and it mixes with the mud, it matches that dull bark on the trees that are spindly and reach up into the sky like hungry hands. There is a desperation and a desolation to this place that is worlds apart from Kensington, which it desperately wants to be.
There's a distinct lack of cheer that carries through the streets. Everyone is busy tending to their own and not extending hands to each other, and so charity and goodness are not to be seen exchanged here on the streets.
Ms. Jean-Baptiste, as you walk through this neighborhood, indeed as you travel through the city, you'll be distinctly aware of how the old forgotten gods of winter are active again. This is their time. They are in the fullness of their power when people are busy muttering curses to the weather under their breath. How do you experience the onset of winter?
Phoebe is dressed in a dark trench, her hands covered with thick velvet-lined gloves, trying to keep the earliest chill from sinking into her bones. Everything aches. Everything always aches, but it gets so much worse when it's cold outside. She holds the curses from her tongue, keeps them squarely in her mind. But she is not a fan.
Oh, you and me both. The townhouse is the whole street is lovely. Very tall, like 4-story, tall and narrow homes, right? And high hedges dividing them, front gardens, and with iron gates. What do you do?
Phoebe takes a moment, examining the gate, the structure of it, looking at what was a garden beyond. She looks up and down the street, sees if there's anyone coming, and then attempts to call for someone.
You just like calling to the house to like for somebody to come let you in?
I don't know how it works at this time, if there's the equivalent of a bell.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I'm going to suggest you can actually go through the gate and then just ring the bell. Yeah.
She won't make a quick approach. She's going to make it very evident that she is approaching the house, so anyone with a passing glance through a window can see that there is a strange person approaching.
You can go ahead and do the information move because you were kind of looking around and kind of taking in the place. Do it with sensitivity, I think.
All right. There's 2 1s.
Oh no. We will get to that in a moment. Let's go back to... We can just fast forward to the theater if that's okay. Frame it up for us, Dr. Mortimer. What's going on?
So as they approach the theatre in the carriage, Mortimer knocks on the roof to signal to stop. And she is a billow of cape, layers and layers. She hates the cold so very much. But as she gazes upon the theatre, she warms from the inside out. It is around this time the dancers begin their warm-ups and their routines for the afternoon's matinee. But it's not quite that time yet. She looks to Haskell and notions to around the back, a small passage that she knows intimately, slipping in without anybody seeing her, and she's fairly certain nobody would pay any attention to Haskell, so she's quite confident there. And they maneuver their way up through the maze of wooden stairs and around the back of the stage, and there's a secondary door to the box that she has reserved and that she has paid good money to make sure is constantly hers. And she sits in the box and looks down upon the stage. It is absent of light. There are ropes and stage hands running about, getting ready. Big painted backdrops pulled out. She's very still, which is quite unlike her. As if she's contemplating. And then she turns to Haskell. Have you ever loved Haskell?
If I take your meaning, Mum, then perhaps I have.
Have you ever wanted to share something incredibly special with someone? Something that only you almost find any value in the entire world? Or so you would think.
And at this point, Haskell starts fiddling with something, and you can see that he's cleaning with a handkerchief a little set of opera glasses, and he hands them over to the doctor, and he says, "Isn't that what we all want, Mum?"
She takes them wordlessly, doesn't look at him, and places them up to her eyes and peers down on the stage. I invited Ms. Quinn to the ballet a few weeks back. She stood me up, believe it or not. It is not to say I can blame her, but I can't remember the last time I wanted to actually bring someone here.
She is certainly a beguiling presence, Mum.
She is more than that. She is infinite. Have you not seen the way she and this house, that Hargrave house, they rely upon one another? They are codependent almost at this state. She is... I don't know how to deal with this. It came upon us quite suddenly, to be quite brutally honest, after I'd seen Gastrell the other week. God. She was outside. I was all out of sorts, believe it or not. He pulled a knife on me.
Pulled a knife on you, Mum?
Oh, a scalpel. Although, tell you the worst part, it was dull. What self-respecting doctor carries a dull scalpel?
I think it wouldn't be beyond the realms of decency to say that Mr. Gastrell is not a self-respecting doctor.
Indeed. Perhaps I should pay him a visit again. Maybe it was he who dealt with the St. James girl. Ginny, was it?
Ginny Hess, I believe, Mum.
I want to know more about her. I think I shall go to St. James Street after all. Dispel this rumor of ghosts and gods and Jesus.
Very good, Mum.
Thank you, Haskell. You are very grounding when you want to be, and I guess that's what I pay you for.
Indeed, indeed. Which condition are you trying to clear here, Dr. Mortimer?
I am trying to appear more human and therefore ghoulish.
Okay, very good. And you collectively together do get to define a clue for one of the threats, so be thinking of that. Meanwhile, Ms. Jean-Baptiste, just as you're getting ready to step inside the gate, you hear from across the street behind you, excuse me, madam. Hello, madam.
I can hear you. Hello.
There's a man approaching, a rather small, I would say, nebbishy-looking little man with a small mustache and wearing a very heavy coat over another tweed coat, over a waistcoat, over a slightly yellowed around the collar shirt. And he says, yes, sorry, very, very sorry to disturb you, but I'm so happy I just ran into you like this. Truth be told, I did not just run into you like this. I was following you. Pettigrew is my name, Detective Inspector Pettigrew. And you, if I am not mistaken, and he looks at his little notebook, Ms. Phoebe Jean-Baptiste, yes?
Yes, you are correct, Detective.
Right. Well, do you mind if I just have a few minutes of your time, Ms. Jean-Baptiste?
I do greatly mind.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear that, Ms. Jean-Baptiste, but unfortunately I am on the Queen's business at the moment, and I am going to have to insist upon a few minutes of your no doubt precious time. Out of idle curiosity, what is your business at this house?
Phoebe does the most long-suffering sigh in front of the detective. I believe, unless I am under some form of detainment, that my business is my own. Sir.
Yes, of course. But there's no reason why this has to be an unfriendly transaction, Ms. Jean-Baptiste. I'm not even concerned with you in particular. It's actually one of your colleagues, I suppose, a Dr. Eveline Mortimer. She's, in an indirect way, a sort of colleague of mine as well. She's done a fair bit of work for Scotland Yard in the past. Night work, bodies, that sort of thing.
I see. Yes, that sort of thing.
Yes. Well, I don't know what you and Dr. Mortimer get up to in this institute, this Hargrave house. I've seen it. It's a rather spectacular structure, I suppose. I wouldn't call it a house, would I? It's really sort of I don't know, one expects a rather tragic figure roaming around the parapets or something. Very gothic, I would say. Ms. Jean-Baptiste, a little bird has told me that Dr. Mortimer might be doing untoward things with the bodies she examines. Have you had any reason to think that something might be going on? Seen any stray heads, hands, or feet lying about that great Gothic monstrosity on Belgrave Square?
Detective, I'm not sure I understand your insinuation. Are you saying that you suspect Dr. Mortimer is stealing body parts? Is that what you mean?
I would like the Dave move here. What do you fear is going to happen if you lose your nerve at this moment?
If I lose my nerve, I think he's going to see through my little facade and know that I am fully aware that Dr. Mortimer is in fact stealing body parts.
Which you might not even have known about if Harley had not loudly
literally until we went to do the demon, had no idea.
Fantastic. Okay, go ahead and roll with composure, and let's see how that goes. I'm going to actually put you at disadvantage because this entire time you've been having this conversation with D.I. Pettigrew, the trickster in your head has been whispering, "You should kill him. Take him behind the hedge and kill him. No one will see." So I'm going to put you at disadvantage because that's also going on.
Lovely. I really need to get rid of him. Oh, goodness. Okay. Disadvantage. Composure is 0, so I don't even add anything to this right now. Great. Okay, it's just 5.
Now, Ms. Jean-Baptiste, I would not be an effective and indeed highly capable servant of the crown if I did not have an eye for detail. Detail is the key to my profession. I'm very, very good with them, details. And a detail that sticks out to me is that at the moment I mentioned the possibility of the existence of heads, hands, feet lying about Hargrave House, your eyes widened in a very particular way, which suggests, if not some sort of connection to these events, at least an awareness of them. And so I must put the question forth, Ms. Jean-Baptiste. What is it you know about Dr. Mortimer's doings?
Frankly, detective, and I will answer honestly, absolutely nothing.
He says, yes. Well, you're not in any sort of trouble. Of course, I don't have any kind of official reason to bring you in for questioning or to detain you in any way. As far as I can tell, you're a perfectly normal, upstanding citizen of the realm. However, if you should observe something strange as it relates to Dr. Mortimer's activities, I do hope you will pop down to Scotland Yard and let me know.
Well, perhaps you'll get an opportunity when she comes to do some of that night work you mentioned.
Yes. Well, good day to you. And
Good day.
I'm giving you a condition marked by DI Pettigrew.
Great. Love that for me. Thanks, Doctor.
Indeed. Let's go back to the Doctor and Haskell. What's the clue that you've come up with?
Unless you've got anything, Jess, I was wondering whether at the theatre we could see some evidence that perhaps Sally No Face had been also watching the performances for potential victims, and I wonder if we see like a washerwoman or something cleaning like a bloodied handprint off the bit that goes at the front of another box, maybe.
Oh, interesting.
Possibly.
Yeah,
then we could use that for anything, I guess.
I like the idea of you're all in this box, and then like directly across the theater, maybe in another box, you see someone standing there wearing a sort of like wearing like a cloak and a cowl, but there's like a featureless wooden mask underneath the cowl, which kind of fits the Sally No Face legend. And maybe, from there, maybe develop the clue, I would say. Like maybe there's something about the performance that is interesting to Sally or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, God.
Intriguing. Very intriguing. Be thinking on it. In any case, what's next for your day phase, your respective day phases? Where are you headed?
I'd like to go and see Jenny Johnston, please.
Very good. Dr. Mortimer?
I think I will follow up on my threat and head over to St. James's Street.
Oh, I like that very much. I think it would be a lot of fun to have you show up kind of in the middle of whatever Ms. Jean-Baptiste gets up to there at the house. So we'll bounce back to Ms. Jean-Baptiste for a bit once, and then we'll get to Dr. Mortimer. But let's go with Haskell for now. So the way it works whenever you consult a resident of Hargrave House, I frame up the scene. They are not often or always found in Hargrave House itself. You kind of find them in some other circumstance, which I will tell you. I think you find Jenny back at her establishment in Limehouse. It's still daytime, and I think that maybe there's not a lot going on at the establishment right now. Jenny can be found admonishing a group of her nephews against continuing with their foolish behavior. Let's paint the scene, everyone. It seems Jenny's nephews got into trouble after a night of drunkenness. Based on their appearance and what we overhear, what kind of trouble did they get into?
One of them clearly has a very visible animal bite on his leg.
One of them is holding the bridle for one of the clearly marked police carriages. So a horse is missing somewhere.
One of them is wearing what is clearly intended to be a woman's shirt underneath his own. It's just too tight. The buttons are stretching. Maybe he couldn't have found his own this morning.
Haskell, you arrive in the middle of that. I think it's actually like in a little alley. Like it's like in the alley that's right outside the door to where you get into the opium den, right? So she's sort of upbraiding them, and she sees you and she says, "Ah, Mr. Haskell." And she turns to her nephews and like really harshly berates them in Cantonese, and they like go quickly inside, and then she straightens her dress a little bit and says, "How are things at Hargrave House?"
Busy as always, miss.
"Yes. I've enjoyed my time coming round. I have to say, I find the library most interesting."
I'm glad, and I hope that the offices and lodgings we provided are to your satisfaction.
"They are indeed, though I regret that I have not been by in a number of days. I have to occasionally check in on things going on here. Things not always going on to my great satisfaction. But I'm
I
happy to
understand
see
the
you."
frustration of corralling unruly types, miss.
Indeed, indeed. And she sort of like kind of gets a little conspiratorial, and she says, "So, what investigation are you working on today?"
You may have to keep a straight face, miss, but Sally no face. It may be just a song to some children, but we believe someone is carrying on her grisly work. And seeing as we resolved the affair in Limehouse to what I assume is your satisfaction, I thought perhaps you may be able to offer some insight into things on this side of London.
Let's get
Which
past
I always thought was the good side of London.
It's not, but we make do. Go ahead and let's just get the dice on the table. Make the information move with presence.
It's a 7.
Okay. You'll get 2 clues. There might be a complication on that. We'll get to that in a moment. She says, "The Sally No Face situation, there hasn't been another victim for weeks."
That we know of, miss.
Do you have any other reason to think that the killer is still active?
Nothing I'm willing to share, but we are formulating several theories that we think she has either struck again and we are yet to discover the body, or she is about to strike, poised and ready.
And I will find you some clues here in a moment. Let me check in on Ms. Jean-Baptiste. So, Ms. Jean-Baptiste, do you have pedigree leaves? What do you do now?
Oh, thank goodness. Phoebe will continue on her initial plan and enter in through the gate, walking up towards the house.
You can ring the bell. Do you ring the bell?
Yes.
You actually have to ring it a couple of times before there's any kind of response. And when there is a response, you hear someone hollering. This is no genteel footman or housemaid. This is someone just hollering and saying, "Just hold on a minute, hold on, I'm almost there." And they open the door, and you're immediately hit by 2 things. 1, warmth, which is nice. It's very cold, and you're hit with this nice blast of warmth. And 2, regrettably, that warmth is also accompanied by the quite strong, I would even go so far as to say overpowering smell of onions and tobacco. The woman at the door is squat, kind of square even, I would say, very jowly. She's wearing a very, very dirty cook's apron. She says, yes, what is it?"
Hello, greetings. My name is Phoebe Jean-Baptiste. I am a member of Hargrave House.
I don't know it. I'm very sorry. This is not normally my job. I don't really know what the protocol is right now. How can I help you, I guess?
There was a young maid here, Ginny Hess.
Oh, here we go again. All right. So you're some sort of newspaper person, some sort of occult researcher, paranormal researcher. We've got so many people in. If you come back at the right time, Mr. Beale, he'll give you a tour of the place, for a price, of course.
Phoebe starts to crack the barest bit of a smile. I wouldn't put it in so many words, but something akin to that, I suppose.
Right. Well, what do you want to know?
Oh, it's not anything I think you can tell me specifically.
And why is that? Do I look like I don't know things?
Oh no, you look like you know a great deal. It is more... Have you found, since the day that Jenny died, has it been calm since then?
Make the information move with probably composure.
Okay. Oh, Lord, that went away. Try that one again. Okay. 8.
She says, listen, Mrs. Beale is resting. The baby's asleep. And that hellion Roger is not here right now. Just come in and just come in. We can't let the cold in.
Thank you.
She closes the door.
What is your name?
Thicket, Irma Thicket. I'm the cook. And lately, the nanny, the maid, I do the cleaning, the washing, I do it all.
Sounds very overwhelming.
But good luck trying to get Mr. Beale to increase my pay. Ha!
We'll see what comes of it. You said that he is available for a tour.
Oh, he's been trying to find ways to monetize poor Ginny's death ever since it happened. I mean, it was him that called those people at the Illustrated Police News that caused all this trouble to begin with. Sold the story.
Interesting. And you haven't experienced anything like what was said in that story?
She says, follow me, come downstairs. And she takes you just a kind of to a little flight of stairs right there in the entry hall that goes down into what is presumably maybe the kitchen, servants' quarters, that kind of thing. And as she's at the top of the stairs, the trickster says, you could just push her down. Go ahead and do it. Just push her down.
No, that won't be happening. Thank you.
Oh, come on. Push her down. I'll make it worth your while.
Shut up.
I will make it worth your while, though. If you do as the trickster says, I'll give you an XP.
Jason! No. No. The temptation lurks, but no.
She will take you downstairs where your clue awaits. We'll get back to that in a moment. Dr. Mortimer, same situation. You arrive, you see everything as we've described it already. I I assume you're getting out of a carriage here, that you didn't walk all the way over, and so...
Oh, no, absolutely not. Out of the carriage and
out of the
a
cab,
flurry
yeah.
of yeah.
So what do you
do? Taking the house, taking the street, and then head up the stairs and ring the doorbell.
Make the information move with reason as you get out of the cab.
Okay. I believe I did. I think I upped my reason last time, so 10 total.
Nice. Fantastic. I've got loads of clues to fetch, so let's take a 10-minute break here, and we'll
Lovely.
come back and continue. Haskell, Jenny Johnston says, I've been keeping an eye on Whitechapel, as you asked me to, and I don't know if there are any connections to the killer here, but there is something very strange going on. There's a warehouse, little used in recent years, except someone has purchased it and has started to put it to some sort of use, but not for storing things. I have a number of friends and acquaintances here who have been engaged for their skills as seamstresses. For some nights, they have been taken under cover of darkness by people very careful to make sure they're not being seen inside that warehouse where they are making exquisite gowns and evening attire for gentlemen. I thought that was rather funny. No one has ever seen the person who's employed them, but apparently the pay is good, and they're willing to put up with the unusual circumstances. But I looked into it. The fabric that has been used to make these exquisite gowns was being purchased by someone at an address on St. James's Street. She gives you the address. It's not 18 St. James's Street, but it's very close, just a couple of doors down. Those are both your clues, both for Sally No Face.
Curious.
One, the existence of the dresses being made in the warehouse, and then this address of this townhouse. I looked into it. The house also, the ownership is not clear. No one seems to live there. And I got to wondering if this perhaps has something to do with Mrs. Brathwaite, who I know Hargrave House has been keeping an eye on as of late, and who happens to be turning up in places. Kilburn Abbey, for example. I couldn't make any connection between Mrs. Brathwaite and the events in Whitechapel, but I did learn a little bit more about the lady herself. Did you know, for example, that in 1844, when she was just 26 years old, and at the height of her public acclaim, there was a rumor that she was Queen Victoria's secret lover?
I did not know, and I suppose that would have caused quite the scandal.
Indeed it did. People have forgotten about it now. It was probably never more than just scurrilous rumor back then, but I thought it was interesting.
She does have a habit of turning up, like the proverbial bad penny, Miss Johnston.
Hmm.
Have you had any personal dealings with Myth Brathwaite?
I have. In fact, when all this business was going on in Limehouse, the bodies turning up, she actually reached out to me. I pretended like I didn't know anything about any of it. And that's when I decided to come seek Hargrave House's help. I didn't think much of it at the time.
It seems like you made a wise decision, miss.
Here I'm going to take the opportunity to tell you all as players that we are now in layer 3 of the conspiracy. And what that means is, at any time, I can declare that one of the active threats is a servant of Mrs. Brathwaite, and it's taken off the table. So know that. There are lots of little things connecting these various threats now. So, before you go, Haskell, Jenny says, one other thing before you go, Mr. Haskell. My special patron, the gentleman in gold who wears the funny mask, he told me to bring this to you next time I was at Hargrave House, but since you're here now, and she presses into your hand another one of those gold cards from the man in the sun mask, like was given to Ms. Jean-Baptiste.
Appreciated, miss.
Speaking of Ms. Jean-Baptiste, do you follow Irma Thicket down into the basement of the house?
Gently, yes.
Indeed, indeed. Let's talk about that part of the house. The basement of the townhouse contains the kitchen and the servants' quarters. Let's paint the scene. What evidence do we see that shows how historically the servants of 18 St. James's Street have protected themselves from the ghost?
I think there is a kind of a low-hanging, kind of a beam that runs across the middle of the kitchen. And if you're stood with your back to the door, as it were, when you turn, you can see that into the wood have been burnt, like almost kind of protective runes or wards to keep anyone stood at that side of the beam safe from threats coming through the door, possibly.
I think in the larder, in the cold, there is a gigantic stack of salt. And when you look around the kitchen, for as thoroughly cleaned as it may have once been, there are flecks of it lining the doorways and the windowsills, and maybe even the drains. Any hole that leads into the house, into the room, has been purified and a seal put across it.
There is a myriad of crosses dotted on the walls of this room, various sizes and shapes and ornamentation, but they're placed with intent.
Irma turns to you and she says, so you want to know about strange things going on in this house, huh?
Phoebe takes a moment to look around the room and then back at Irma. Yes, quite anything. You might have to tell me.
She takes a rolling pin and she comes out of the kitchen, points it into one of the only room now occupied by a servant. There is a mirror there, and she says, watch this. And she just draws back with the rolling pin, smacks it into the center of the mirror, and it shatters, as you might expect. But it shatters in a spiral pattern. She says, doesn't matter what it is. A glass, a window, clock face, any damage whatsoever, and it makes that pattern.
Fascinating. Phoebe's going to walk straight towards it.
That's your clue. Dr. Mortimer, you get out of the cab, you're taking a look around. There's nothing in particular to see. The streets are quite empty because of the weather. But here's something to melt the snow. A second floor room at 18 St. James's Street is on fire. And you actually see a person, a young woman, at the window, pounding on the window, who needs help to escape. What do you do?
God, I run up to the door and knock furiously, screaming the entire time, "Fire! God's help, there's a fire!"
Irma hears this. You hear it, Phoebe. Irma says, "Oh, that door is going to be the death of me today." And then she trudges upstairs. What's that?
A fire on your second floor. There's a girl trapped up there.
There's no girl here. There's no fire. She opens the door.
Oh.
She says, what?
A fire! There is a fire! Can I still see the fire?
Yeah.
Right there! Are you blind, woman? Come out, look for yourself.
She steps outside. She says, what are you talking about? Are you mad?
I run in past her and up the stairs to the second floor.
There's no fire. There's no nothing. And that's your clue. A room that appeared to you to be on fire.
Oh, I am mortified.
Yeah. I'm not going to give you a condition because you got a 10, but I do like that reaction.
Fuck.
Phoebe, you hear this. You hear Dr. Mortimer. What do you do?
I think initially Phoebe was unbothered by the fact that there was someone shouting at the door. It was whatever she was concerned about. And then she recognized that it was Dr. Mortimer's voice. She's like, oh no. Oh, God. And she'll trudge up the stairs. Dr. Mortimer?
Miss Jean-Baptiste,
What on earth are you doing?
I think at this point, Mortimer, mortified herself, refuses to be wrong and is down on all fours, looking at the carpet, looking at the walls, checking the fireplace, seeing, like, bringing out the if there are just like coals or anything, looking to see how fresh the fire is, checking that it's all real.
Ma'am, if you're interested in doing some cleaning, I could certainly use the help.
There was a girl in this room screaming for help. The room was on fire. I saw it from the street.
Someone comes out of another room, not that one. A middle-aged woman, not quite middle-aged, maybe like late 30s. Plainly dressed, but pretty, and she, presumably Mrs. Beale, she says, What's going on? What's all this racket? Who are you? What are you doing on my carpet?
My apologies, madam. Dr. Mortimer of Hargrave House. This is my associate, Miss Jean-Baptiste.
What are you doing in my home?
We came to investigate the report of the young girl, Ginny, who had passed away.
Oh, not more ghost nonsense.
It's not a ghost. Ghosts do not exist. This was on fire.
Dr. Mortimer seems to have witnessed something out of her ken. Ma'am, if you don't mind, we would just like to do a cursory investigation of your home to ensure that nothing as tragic as what happened to Ginny happens again.
Well, I'm quite certain that I don't know what your business is with any of this. This is all so much. Do you know how difficult everything has been here in my life ever since all of that started happening?
I can only imagine the stress, but it's Mrs. Beale, was it?
Yes. Alice. You can call me Alice.
Alice. I am quite determined to disprove these vicious rumors that you have a haunting. Is quite preposterous, I assure you. I am completely in your corner, and we would like to help dispel such rumors. So, if you wouldn't mind showing me whereabouts the girl died.
Right, of course. Yes, I'm glad that someone here is with some rationality, some sensibility.
Yes.
Poor Ginny.
Yeah, poor Ginny indeed. Ghosts do not exist. And she throws a pretty bombastic side eye at Phoebe Jean-Baptiste.
Phoebe sees it and is just remembering DI pedigree. It's like, do I want to? No, it's fine. I don't need this, actually. I hear you have a small child.
Yes, I have 2 children. I have a little boy, Roger, he's 10, and then I have a little girl, Mary Alice. She's upstairs, sleeping. I'll take you to where we found Ginny, and she guides you downstairs. Irma goes back to her work, very, very carefully eliding the fact that she let you all in, and she takes you to the front room. This front room of the house, which is like an entertaining room. It's the first of what are essentially 2 big main rooms on the ground floor. There's a small library and enough seating for the family and a few visitors. Paint the scene. What in this room indicates that the Beales are living just a little bit above their means?
I think a few of the books on the library shelf are just the leather cover with no actual book inside that they've just kind of found and put to kind of make themselves appear kind of well read and worldly.
I think there are a few stains on the couch cushions left by a child that is inevitable, but would have been cleaned if they had the time and means.
There are a series of beautiful crystal decanters lining one of the mantels. Most of them are empty. Some have like a few drams of liquid left.
I'll note that those droplets, if you look inside the decanter, they rest in a spiral pattern at the bottom of the glass. Just a little extra on that clue. Poor Ginny. She was a lovely girl and so good with Roger and the baby. Well, and now, thanks to that ridiculous tabloid, I haven't been able to find a replacement. This is all just so terrible. It's all so horrible. But I don't believe for a minute that there's ghosts. And I certainly don't intend to turn my home into a tourist attraction, no matter how much money it might raise.
quite right. That I will say it again, as loud and as clear as need be. There is no such thing as ghost. And as she says ghost, she clocks the spiral pattern in those decanters and just... No such thing. There is a reasonable and rational explanation for everything in this world, madam, and we will find it. That is what we at Hargrave House are employed to do. You may rest easy with us.
So, Haskell, what do you do when you're done with Jenny Johnston?
Because I have the personal connection with her, I'd very much like to visit the flat of Clara Yarborough, please.
Right. This is a really great location in the thread. One of my favorites. This Whitechapel tenement. It's about 3 stories. Yeah, 3 stories. There are beggars and prostitutes all over, even in the day. It's very poorly lit. Paint the scene. This building was originally a charity project, now abandoned, for some wealthy do-gooder. What faded remnants of their largesse do we see around us?
I think that in the entrance corridor of the tenement building, there is a series of portraits of the family of this kind of philanthropist who kind of originally kind of set this thing up, and they've all been defaced. But the further down the corridor you go, the more kind of scandalous and depraved the defacings become.
In each of the halls, each of the rooms, this once decadent wallpaper is plastered everywhere. Paisley spirals and little birds, William Morris-esque. But over the years, it has yellowed and faded. Water damage has soaked up into the paper, curling at its edges, revealing the cracks beneath. And the stains look like great, long, grotesque fingers reaching down and snatching it up.
There's ornamental crown gilding around the edges of this room, these rooms, the ceiling. And once artistic and delicately painted, it is now chipped and faded, and the cracks of the walls extend up into the ceiling, and they have broken and are not as nearly as delicately and as opulently decorated as they once were.
Haskell, it's no trouble getting into her flat. Even if the door is locked, I'm sure that's no trouble for you. And there's no one around here who would even care if you broke in. What do you do?
I think that I find her flat in a kind of a state of disarray, essentially. Not that like someone's disturbed it, but it's clearly been left in media res, right? And I think Haskell, even though he knew of her, he wasn't like, they weren't BFFs or anything. Like, I think he spends a bit of time tidying her flat.
Yeah.
And just kind of setting it right, making the bed and kind of just turning over the bed sheets and just kind of maybe putting her kind of delicates away to kind of perhaps, even though he knows that she's dead, kind of spare her any further embarrassment of anyone kind of walking in on this. But I think he's kind of looking for small details. But one thing he does notice is the thimbles that he collected for her.
Yeah.
And he just kind of arranges them a little kind of quietly and just orderly on the little shelf that she's got and dusts it down.
I like the idea of it being in medias res. Like, she probably had probably like stacks of other people's washing, right? Like sitting around and that kind of thing. Yeah. Let's paint the scene here. This is a great entree into the paint the scene, which is Clara Yarborough didn't have much, but she kept a few small, pretty things apart from the thimbles. What are they?
Oh, I don't know if this is breaking the game, but does she have, like, maybe that she found in the pocket of someone's clothes she was washing, one of those exact same invitations that had no address on it?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
So, like, we've already got that clue, but like,
that was found in the body's pocket. So,
I wonder if she's collecting them.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe you can find another one. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because they are pristine, beautiful little objects.
Little gold objects. Yeah.
Sort of like a hand mirror. A little golden tub with a clasp. When opened, there is a distinct smell of aged makeup, that powdery chalk that sort of really clogs the nose. You can sort of see in the corners what maybe once was rouge, but it has long been used. There is very little else, and she has quite clearly just kept it because it is a nice little tchotchke to have.
As you look at the table in the middle of the living room, there's an open book, and within it, it strikes you now in the dead of winter that there is a pressed flower in between the pages.
Haskell, you can make the information move with reason.
That's a 9.
Let me give you your clue really quickly. Something you find among her things. You find a stack of, as you read through them, increasingly florid love letters. How interesting. I want to confirm that we don't have that clue already, though, because it sounds familiar to me right now as I say it.
I had some in my PQ.
That's right, you do. Where'd you get those?
One of the other hunters gave them to me, and I used them to try and stay tethered to the real world whilst wearing the sun mask.
Right, that's right. Well, you find a stack of increasingly racy love letters. The love letters are unsigned, and they're addressed to someone named Gregory. It's not clear if they were sent ever. It's not clear how Clara might have gotten hold of them, or if Clara even wrote them, but that's your clue. And as you're going through them, it takes some time to read through them, obviously. You hear from the little doorway, "Were you a friend of the victim?" I'm going to cut there.
Okay.
And check in with the others. So, Mrs. Beale is kind of pouring out her heart about, like, she's mostly just going on about the sad state of affairs in her home, more than ghosts. And what are the two of you doing during this?
As she's sort of going on, Mortimer, like, quite quickly loses interest in what she's saying and sort of continuously sort of pokes at, and where was it that she died exactly? Whereabouts? Trying to steer her towards that answer that she's after.
Oh, very good. I'll give you go ahead and make the roll now. Make the information move with, I think for you it's composure to put up with.
Thank God.
Mrs. Beale. I do want to take a look at your conditions, though, and see if any of them might affect you here. Because you have several. You only have 2. No, you're okay. You can roll just regular.
Okay. I was looking at my tools to see if I could use anything in this, but I really don't think I can. Yeah, let's bring out the flesh terrarium. That'll help. Ooh, that is a 9 plus 2, 11.
Oh, very good. What are you doing in the meantime, Ms. Jean-Baptiste?
I am, as Mrs. Beale is expounding upon her life in the situation, if I notice the decanter that had the water, I am going to move towards that side of the room. And then I'm probably going to very quietly start the rites of salt and smoke.
Oh, very good indeed. I love it. I want to know what that looks like. What do the sacrifices look like, and how is this happening here in this social visit?
Phoebe, attempting to contain this as much as possible, is going to pick up this decanter, try to pour the remnants of the liquid into her hand, do the inverted sign of the cross, and then is going to reach down. She doesn't have the awful cookies with her today, but she does just have a piece of raw liver. Sorry, were you going to say something?
Oh no, I was waiting to see if there was more. I like where you're going with it.
She is going to, in the same hand that she placed the water in, sort of mash this raw piece of meat between her fingers, and then in a very lurid way lick a stripe of it from her hand.
Fantastic. Go ahead and make the roll.
Thanks. Wait, where is it? 10. Oh, my dice hate me today. That is 7.
What effect do you want, and then what complication do you choose?
So, I would like to... I already did observe one time, but I think I would like to observe another time or place. And for complication, the magic has a problematic side effect.
Oh, interesting. Mrs. Beale says, I'm sorry, were you asking about where the body was found?
Yes, absolutely. As Mortimer sort of looks around and sort of sees Phoebe maybe just pull out like that strip of liver, she sort of rolls her eyes and attempts to move herself in between Mrs. Beale's eyeline and Phoebe. It's like, yes, if you'd be so kind as to show me exactly where it was. There may be things overlooked that could explain exactly why she fell dead without any noise whatsoever.
Right. Well, she was just sort of laid out here in the front room, which I thought was really rather unfortunate. Makes me feel
here.
A little. I don't like to entertain in this room anymore. Let's just say having a body on the floor will do that to you. Will give you bad feelings. And at that point, Irma Thicket has kind of been listening from the doorway, and she says, "Ma'am, this is not where they found Ginny. This is just where they brought her down to."
Oh, well, Miss Thicket, if you would be so good as to direct me to where she was found.
Alice says, Oh, yes, that's right. She was actually found. She was found with the baby in the nursery.
Oh, gracious.
Well, yes. I do owe you a clue, and I haven't given it to you yet. But I do want to check in with Ms. Jean-Baptiste very quickly and say, Ms. Jean-Baptiste, as soon as they start having this conversation about the body being found in the nursery with the baby, you are witnessing the dark entities are kind of peeling back time, and they're showing you a situation a number of months ago, presumably before the events of what happened to Ginny Hass. And they can't get the baby to calm down. It cries constantly. Maybe it's colicky, who knows. It's always very upset. The baby is only ever content and calm when they bring it up to the attic. And so they make the decision to move the nursery up to the attic. And that's where the baby sleeps. And that's where they found Ginny on the day she was found dead. And the unwanted side effects, the complication of your ritual, is you can tell the entire time you're having this vision, as you're looking into this space, little Mary Alice Beale keeps looking over Ginny's shoulder, keeps looking over her father's shoulder in all the various scenes, keeps peeking as best she's able out of her bassinet and looking at you directly in the eyes, making very direct eye contact with you. And then, at the very end, she raises her little tiny pudgy hand and she beckons you to her. You can even hear in the vision, you can even see in the vision, you can hear Harold Beale, the father, say, "Well, look at that. She looks like she's waving to someone or asking for someone. Isn't that funny?" How does this make you feel?
Phoebe refuses to be terrified by a baby. However, it is mildly unsettling to see something so small move with such coordination. And that is the part that strikes her more than the realization that, oh, there is something wrong with the baby, something terribly wrong with that baby.
I'm going to give you a condition marked by Mary Alice Beale. You already have 3 conditions. Go ahead and clear the voice in your head. And mark the Janus mask, either past or future. Haskell. The man standing in the doorway, he is, let's see, very clean shaven, quite carefully groomed. He's dressed very nice, actually. Really beautiful, like beautifully tailored suit, very fine materials. A little silk pocket square, hair kind of slicked back, very handsome. And he says, I'm Fairweather, Detective Inspector Fairweather. He's dressed very nice for someone on Scotland Yard's pay. He kind of comes in and he says, did you know Ms. Yarborough?
We were acquainted. I didn't catch your name.
Fairweather, D.I. Fairweather.
Very well, Constable.
Constable? My goodness. He crosses his arms. He says, you seem like a savvy operator, sir. You seem...
It has been said.
What's your business here?
Am I under suspicion, Constable?
You're wandering around in the home of someone who was killed in a most grisly fashion. Unusual behavior, wouldn't you say?
If you count visiting the house of an acquaintance unusual behavior,
Did she forget to give you the key? Because I noticed that the door was slightly bent out of frame.
That's certainly how I found it.
Oh, I see. Well, I was just about to pop down to the pub. Care to join me?
Why not?
Great. Drinks on me. What was your name then?
O'Driscoll.
O'Driscoll. You don't look Irish.
You don't look like a detective inspector.
I can tell we're going to have a very fine friendship, O'Driscoll. And you can go with D.I. Fairweather down to the street. What are you doing? As he seems pretty casual.
That's what unnerves me, to be honest. I'm looking for other police officers or other people who look like they might be his accomplices or kind of stooges.
There are some constables down on the street, and he actually kind of waves them away.
I'm prepared to entertain this as far as it will go.
Yeah. We'll fast forward to the pub. You have your drinks. You've got a table. Let's name the pub. Let's have a little game where we name the pub. Wren, you think of an adjective, and Jess, you think of a noun. And that will be the name of our pub.
All right. The Frisky
Head.
I've definitely been there.
I thought they'd close that place down, etc., etc.
You're at the Frisky Head. And he says, let's drop all the pretense, O'Driscoll. What's your business with Clara Yarborough?
We're old friends. And I hear she met a tragic end.
Yeah, she did.
What do the boys at the yard think about this?
And he kind of leans back and says, truth be told, I'm not on the case. I just happen to be in the neighborhood. Someone told me that they saw someone breaking into a flat.
Seems a little below the pay grade of a detective inspector, Constable.
Nevertheless, I'm a dutiful servant of the crown, and so I investigated and found you there. And I know the story of what's happened, and so I'm putting two and two together. Were you perhaps looking for some left behind evidence that you wanted to clear up before anyone could find it?
That seems like something a smart person would do in the daytime. Yeah.
Yeah. Really fine work that was done on poor Clara. They say her face was lifted off as if it was a porcelain mask.
The grisly details of her demise have not escaped me, but they are still rather raw. If you'd keep the smirk to yourself, that would be appreciated.
Oh, I see. So this was a romantic connection then.
Am I under suspicion?
No, I don't care what happened to the washerwoman in Whitechapel. But I find you interesting.
Join the queue.
And we'll leave it there for now. This will probably be our last scene in this day phase. Are you all going to go up to the nursery?
That seems to be the most logical place to be.
Phoebe is inexorably drawn to it.
To reach the nursery, you have to go up to the 3rd story, where you find a tight, spiraling staircase up to the attic they had put in special. You actually come up through a trapdoor in the attic to get into the nursery. When you get to the nursery, it's mostly just a big, wide open space. At the far end of it, there's a crib. And placed around the crib are just a couple of little childish things, wooden toys, maybe a stuffed animal. But otherwise, it's just a very poorly lit, empty attic space. Paint the scene. How do we know the ghost is here right now?
The window to the attic is closed. It's winter. It's important to keep the winter chill at bay. But hanging just above the crib, rotating ever so slightly, a little carousel, entertainment for the baby, and it continues to rotate, though there is no breeze to move it.
I think that even though it's warm and it's cold outside, if you turn your head, you just see to your periphery the exhale of breath and the steam that it creates, the fogging. But then when you look back, it's gone.
There is a rocking chair by the crib, and it is moving gently, but it is not stopping. There is nothing that should be giving this momentum, but it continues to rock.
Mary Alice can't be more than probably not even a year old. She's pulled herself up to standing position in the crib. You're still quite a ways away. It's the crib's on the opposite side of where you come up from the trapdoor, and it's very dark, but you can still kind of make out the baby's shape. And Mary Alice speaks to you. I'm just a baby. I'm just a little baby. Won't you come say hello to the little baby? We're going to end our day phase there.
What? Okay.
awful man, Jason.
That was horrid.
That was insane. I love
Haskell,
that.
Just to wrap up housekeeping, Haskell, take a condition marked by DI fair weather. And we're going to transition into the Dusk. I think we have a few different Janus Mask prompts to narrate, including some from last time. And so we'll take a 5-minute break because I'd like to do those Janus Mask prompts at the top of the Dusk phase, and then we'll do the business of the Dusk phase. Let's do the Dusk phase. And before we continue with the actual procedure of the Dusk phase, I want to give you all an opportunity to do your various personal narrations that might be owed. So if someone would like to start, please do.
I have my mask of the past from before. So, that one is: narrate a flashback to your childhood that shows the first time you encountered a dark entity. When I think of my mother, I think of her praying often at my bedside. I wasn't the healthiest of children growing up, and my bad days sometimes numbered more than my good, but she was attentive, nurturing, caring as a mother should be. It seemed that she sometimes shared in my suffering and strife every now and then, through her often laudanum-induced slumbers. She might have a fit, words I couldn't understand. I think the names of angels too complex for my mind to really process, but there would always be pleading, not yet, you can't have her, not yet. And then when I was about 9, I could hear her, the start of it. I'd grown used to the sound sometimes, and so I took my blanket and I wrapped it around my shoulders. An autumn chill. Her room wasn't far from mine, and so I crossed the corridor. The door creaked under my hand, as it often did, and then I could see through a slit in the curtain the light of the half moon shining on her pained, anguished, sleeping face, and then another face above hers looking into her face. This hunched, vaporous thing hovering just above her, something that I had never seen before. It seemed to delight in her frightened exhales, and I reached out for it, not knowing what I was doing, but I reached for it and it looked at me. These thin yellow pinpricks of light in what could only be sockets. And I think it smiled, acknowledging that I could see it, and it could see that I could see it. I think I asked it to leave her alone, but I'm not entirely certain. But whatever it was I said, it decided I was more interesting, and it started to come towards me, and my mother's face eased of its pain. And as I reached for it, it reached for me. And as our hands, well, if it could be considered a hand, alighted, There was darkness. And I woke in my mother's arms. She was on the floor, cradling me. And I could hear those complex, angelic names pouring out of her mouth. And again, the pleading. And I couldn't understand then, but I think I do now.
And I believe I was to narrate a flashback when I acquired the torso of the child and a memory. Cora's thoracic segment, the upper torso, was spindly, as if she was made from gossamer and sticks. Ballerinas have always had to watch their figure historically and to this day, and so she was very diligent in that. The midriff tapered in, an hourglass, accentuated as always by corsets. The bones of those things I remember would dig into the ribs themselves, leaving these horrendous red welts, which she would hide and cover with a variety of pretty whites and unmarked fabrics. The pelvic region, that was the saddest part of her entire body. She so longed to have children. We talked about it at length and for hours. But she couldn't. Her and her husband had tried once many moons ago, and that was before she became what she was to that day. It is a torso that tells so many stories, very unlike Miss Quinn's. Miss Quinn's is so different, plump and full of life and vigor. But that is not a memory, is it?
And I would say that the mask I have to mark today, I would like to mark a mask of the future.
Which
the
one?
Cosmic Passage.
Ah, very good. Just read what it does for us.
Increase your sensitivity by 1 to a max of 3, and reduce your reason by 2.
Oh. Very good. All right, then, if there are no other narrations, we will continue with our phase here. I want to start, I think it makes sense to start with determining what type of night phase we're going to do tonight. You do have a little bit of breathing room on your countdowns. I did not mention at the top of the St. James's Street Ghost that this is also on, I'll reveal more in general. It's also on a timer. After every night phase that passes while this threat is active, the ghost destroys part of the house. And indeed, I'd like to know, Dr. Mortimer, as you were both leaving the house, what gave you the sense that like something was maybe about to fall apart, or there was like some kind of like problem in the house? What gave you that indication? What seemed unstable?
As we were coming down that spiral staircase, after hearing that child, and after briefly contemplating everything I know, and then resolutely putting it aside and realizing that Ms. Baptiste and I must have mixed up our needles, and I simply must be suffering from the effects of some hallucinogen or another. Probably the opium. And as I have come to that conclusion, and I step off the very last stair on that staircase, my foot goes through and splinters the wood. I can feel the scratch. And as I right myself, I look up and the banister is shaking. And for almost no reason at all, the pillars pop out one by one.
Fantastic. Indeed, after every night phase, a room in the house will be destroyed. It doesn't necessarily affect your ability to investigate there. It certainly causes a lot of consternation in the household. But after 5 night phases, the townhouse will collapse completely, and the ghost is no longer moored to that spot. So know that. That's obviously clearly out of character consideration. We got some time before that horrible outcome. And indeed, you still have some time on the other threats as well. So if you wanted to explore Hargrave House, you could do it. Now would be a good time to do it. Also, there's the fact that Miss Quinn is not here, and so it might be worth kind of putting a pause on HH activities until Miss Quinn's back. But that's all up to you. If you do choose to investigate Hargrave House or search Hargrave House for this night phase, I will give you an option. I'll give you a choice between 3 different rooms to look into. Otherwise, if you're going to have a regular London night phase, I need to know that so we can prepare for that. What does everyone think? You have to all agree.
I agree with everything that Jason has just said. But I've got something that I want to do in the evening, but I will, if the other 2 want to stay and investigate Hargrave House, I will happily cede to the majority.
Something you want to do in the evening. There is also, I suppose, time to spend with the child, but I could be persuaded to search a room. What do you think, Ms. Jean-Baptiste?
While searching a room does sound fun, I am desperately curious to see what Haskell would like to do. And so I am inclined potentially to a normal night phase.
That's 2 votes for London night phase then. Let's continue on. So, we have any custom moves that fire off? The Ghost of Hargrave House. Haskell, what does that do?
This is my new move. It says, during the Dusk phase, you can remove a marked item from another hunter's personal quarters and add it to your own, unmarked. When you return the item to its original owner in the middle of a scene you are sharing with them, describe how it is slightly altered and they add it back to their personal quarters, unmarked. Miss Jean-Baptiste, you will return to your quarters this evening to find the map of the ley lines removed from your quarters. So I'll just take that right now. Thank you.
It goes into your PQ unmarked, and you can use it and mark it and still give it back to Ms. Jean-Baptiste unmarked in the future. Fantastic. Other night. Well, are you going to be employing the resurrectionist tonight, Dr. Mortimer?
I will. I will not be employing Harley. He has taught me a lesson. I will be employing the grave robbers to acquire a body part for the child.
Okay.
But I will also, again, having learned my lesson, be choosing the option that allows me to face no blowback or complications from any criminal activities the grave robbers get up to.
Very good. Fantastic. That's sorted then. And let's keep going here. Well, so then what is everyone interested in doing tonight? Haskell, you had something in mind.
I would like to pay a visit to dear Dr. Gastrell,
Oh, interesting.
because you don't pull a knife on my employer.
Indeed. I think that'll be very fun. Good. What is your thought for the night phase, Dr. Mortimer?
Part of me wants to follow Haskell. I think I will. I will follow Haskell. I just want to see what he gets up to in the night.
Interesting. And Ms. Jean-Baptiste?
I would, under the pretense of going to an art gallery, would like to use a beacon in the dark and spread my consciousness through the city.
Fantastic. Did you have a particular art gallery in mind connected to something in particular? Or is that just your excuse for getting out?
I think it's connected in ways I won't say.
Okay, very good. Fantastic. In that case, let's go ahead and introduce, or at least let me tell you which unseen we're going to be doing tonight. Oh, let's do a fun one. This is going to be on line 1, all the way to the right. Madame Morvaine's Boy Tour, powdered princelings and delightful demigods, all agape for your amusement. Prompt 1, I'll do prompt 1 since we don't have a fourth player. Prompt 2 will be Matt. Prompt 3 will be Wren. Prompt 4 will be Jess. So we will take a 10-minute break, come back, and do our night phase. Madame Morvaine's Boy Tour, powdered princelings and delightful demigods all agape for your amusement. Madame Morvaine's famous guidebook is a walking tour of all the best male prostitutes in London. Ship Captain Jackson Flint Broadmoor has just come in for a 3-day port of call, the well-worn guidebook clutched beneath his arms. His first stop, Prince Louis, powdered, soft, covered in yards of satin and lace, inviting Captain Broadmoor into his boudoir. And we see distinctly feminine touches all around Prince Louis's room. For a start, there are beautiful floral brocade window dressings and bed covers, all in very delicate shades of pink and purple. And indeed, Prince Louis himself is sitting in front of a mirror, where is arranged in front of him a number of powders and creams, unguents, ointments, and he's delicately powdering his cheeks and reddening his lips. He asks Captain Broadmoor to help him tighten his corset. Captain Broadmoor does. And then the scene ends with Captain Broadmoor helping Louis roll up his delicate sheer stockings up his legs. The mortuary there are no lights on, no lanterns lit. Haskell. It's very dark. And you'll also notice that, because this is the sort of thing you would notice, the street people seem to be giving it a very, very wide berth. What do you do?
I think Haskell looks for another way in other than the main entrance. Is there some kind of point of ingress we can find?
There would be
else?
like a place where they would like bring the bodies in, like towards the back. Yeah.
I think that's without kind of missing a step and without missing a beat and giving the game away. I think that's Haskell's first instinct to head towards the back.
Dr. Mortimer, are you with Haskell right now? Or are you just coming later?
I'm not. If it's possible, I just want to watch from afar.
Haskell, you can enter no trouble. And when you go inside, you do hear the music that Dr. Kestrel is so fond of, you've heard. Except it's not coming from any of the examination rooms. It's coming from somewhere down below. Perhaps a basement or storage space beneath the mortuary. What do you do?
I kind of pad along the corridor and maybe stop and quickly check inside where he'd normally be before following the music down into the basement.
Dr. Mortimer, you see Haskell go in. What do you do?
Like a shadow, I follow behind, just far enough away for him not to notice, but close enough to give him an alibi should anyone spot him.
Ms. Jean-Baptiste, what are the streets of London like right now? The cold streets of London as you walk down them.
It's London. There's always some sort of bustle, even as it gets colder. Perhaps finally in Christmas there might be some ceasing of movement, but still, there are people finishing up their day's work, people beginning a night's work, people who are trudging their way towards pubs to begin a different kind of work as on the street corners. Women and men call for favor, for other things. It's busy enough that she can slip by unnoticed for the most part.
Matt, back on the tour. Anthony the Adonis, whose body is rubbed with golden powder. How do we know Anthony is dying of consumption?
The moniker of Adonis is well earned. Anthony's body is chiseled as if from gold-flecked marble, and Captain Broadmoor pauses to admire every crease and crevice upon this remarkable torso. But Anthony is not quite to the captain's tastes, and Captain Broadmoor moves on. And as he does, Anthony forces a smile which turns into a cough. And as he grimaces, we see that his teeth are lined with blood.
It's been some weeks since the attack on Dr. Mortimer, and indeed some weeks since Dr. Kestrel was forced to bring his beloved back to the Abbey. And the mortuary looks like it hasn't been in regular use since. Everything seems like there's a thick layer of dust on everything. There are no fresh corpses in the examination room that you can tell. It's all quite empty. And yet there is music coming from down below. What do you do? There are stairs.
What can I do but follow the sound, the siren song perhaps, to my doom?
You go down the stairs. And it is just a little, like, kind of storage space, I guess, down below. Not very big. And also dark. the music is coming from a hole in the floor that has been made, perhaps recently, by tools. And there is a faint light coming up from that hole. And indeed, there is a ladder perched inside the hole. What do you do?
Do you need to ask?
No, but I have to. Dr. Mortimer, you said you're going in, right?
Yes.
Everything is the exact same. There's no sign of Haskell in the mortuary. What do you do?
Is that same grating music
Oh, yes.
seeps through the halls, and with one gloved hand, she runs it along one of maybe the slabs and picks up that inch of dust and bites the inside of her cheek in rage so hard that it bursts a little, and that iron tang of blood just coats her teeth, and she licks it off. And then gently, slowly moves through the hall, following that music.
Do you go down to the basement?
I'm going to sit, if I see the hole and the ladder leading down into it, I will perch above it, but I will not go down.
Ms. Jean-Baptiste, let's read your move. A beacon in the dark. When you walk the streets of London at night, your consciousness spreading across the city like a vast spiderweb. Go ahead and roll with sensitivity, please.
Nine.
Even with your 3 sensitivity. Your dice they're very unkind today. On a hit, you are immediately confronted by a threat or a personified danger. And then you can ask them 2 questions. Okay, good. I want to know what that's like. What is it like as your consciousness spreads across the city? Give us that scene. Very curious about that.
Phoebe makes her way to the art gallery. It's not bustling like the streets are. It's rather quiet. There's just a few patrons milling around. And she moves in, and as she looks towards a row of portraits along a wall, the portraits begin to sink into themselves, the landscapes beginning to stretch and move further, and again within them lamplights begin to spring up and glow as if there are people coming awake within these portraits. And it spreads further and further, the lights beginning to form along paths that match the streets of London themselves.
And so you're in the gallery. Part of this gallery, I think there's statuary that you have to walk past. And as you walk through the statuary, one of the statues steps down from the plinth and begins walking behind you. Back to the tour. Wren, Gianni, an Italian temple, olive-skinned, breathtaking. How do we know he's having the time of his life?
The captain can tell a fake laugh. He's used to it from time to time, having traveled as far and as wide and made as many deals as he has. But Gianni's is genuine, It's light. His smile reaches his eyes as he tells terrible joke after terrible joke. His chest rises and falls and hiccups, and slight tears gather in his eyes as he can't quite catch his breath. He's enjoying his company. And even when they move towards quieter or perhaps louder things, he still laughs occasionally, thinking back to whatever it was he said that was so very funny.
Haskell, the ladder leads to another subterranean space, but one that seems much older, almost as if the mortuary was built on top of it. This is not unusual. London's a very old city, right? Indeed, there are some makeshift like scaffoldings and stairs that you have to go down a ways. You have to navigate down in order to get to where the music is coming from. Do you press forward?
I do, but I think at that point, I say out loud, "You can stop padding about, Mum. I fear I've led us perhaps on a merry dance. Turn back if you wish, but I press on."
Very good, Haskell. Very good. I see this is why I pay you the medium bucks. Fine. No. We have come this far, and I am curious as to see what further debasement Gastrell has inflicted upon this place of sanctity.
London was built right atop quite a number of Roman ruins. And indeed, you both find yourself in one. A Roman ruin, a temple of some sort, perhaps. Maybe an old bathhouse. But it's a space that's currently lit with lanterns hanging from chains, mosaic tile work all over, and piled up in the center of this space are steel examination tables, chairs, charts, all piled up to form a sort of grand dais, atop which sits Dr. Gastrell, looking down upon you. His hair is wild. He hasn't washed in some time. And he says, "Oh, Dr. Mortimer. I'm afraid you've caught me at an unusual time."
Unusual is certainly one word for it, Gastrell.
My beloved told me about this place. She whispered to me about it before she left. And I've spent some weeks unearthing it and making it into a sort of second home, you might say. I'm so happy to see that you don't have any hard feelings after our last encounter.
Well, I may not. She flicks a pointed look to Haskell. But I am not the one that brought us here.
He looks down at you, Haskell, and says, "Oh, you've brought your man with you. Are you here to rough me up, Haskell?"
And Haskell turns to the doctor and says, "You might want to turn around, Mum, on the grounds of plausible deniability."
Very good, Haskell. Very good. And with that, she turns.
We'll do a night move in a moment, but I want to check in with Ms. Jean-Baptiste. Ms. Jean-Baptiste, you hear the footsteps behind you. Someone masquerading as a statue. Indeed, it's a person with a slim build, possibly a woman's build, but it's hard to tell based off their appearance what the gender of the person is. They're wearing a long white coat and long black rubber gloves. And they have a wooden mask over their face, perfectly featureless. You must be an admirer of beautiful things like me.
Phoebe will turn, not completely, so she's just in profile to this person. I would say so.
I've been following you all night, though I don't know why. I was just busy engaging in some work, and then I was quite suddenly drawn to you. But I am so happy I've made your acquaintance. You have a very striking look. Really quite excellent bone structure, in fact. Could you perhaps smile all the way to the corner of your eyes, please?
And as her reason has dwindled, Phoebe will turn to face this person fully.
Yes. Fantastic. Oh, well. Is there anything you want to know about me?
Well, you made all of this effort to follow me. What was it you intend to do now that we have met?
I have to answer you in the form of a clue. You get to ask 2 questions.
I think that was the first one. What do you intend to do?
Well, I happen to have a particular interest in discovering, you might call it the fountain of youth, though not a literal fountain. Really more, I'm just very interested in preserving youth. It is a bit of a focus of mine, you might say, an academic interest. And, well, you seem to have a particular pull, a power to you. Are you possibly much older than you seem? Your first clue is Sally No-Face is interested in preserving youth.
Sometimes I feel as though that might be the case, but no. I think I am as old as you perceive me to be.
And yet I get the distinct feeling that there is something ancient about you, if not you yourself. I don't yet understand what it is, but it's almost as if there's something... Well, it's almost as if there's something pawing at your shoulder, though I cannot see what it is. And whatever it is incredibly old. I suppose I'm just confused. You get one more question.
And Phoebe, maintaining that smile a little less now, is going to step closer. I do wonder, as someone who so casually approaches someone as ancient as you perceive me to be, if you're not frightened at all about what I could do. What does frighten you?
That's very good. Let's go to our last stop. Jess, Thomas, a rather plain young man who is clean and able. How do we know Thomas is doing this out of desperation?
The boys on this tour, the Adonises, their art, all of them, whether they be chiseled, painted, or powdered, each of them has taken care to learn how to entice, how to soothe, how to comfort, how to pleasure. Thomas, as the captain runs his fingers down the boy's spine, he seizes up. His muscles spasm as if his body instinctively resists. There is no kindness or comfort to be found in the lines of his face. There is no pleading behind his eyes. There is coldness and resistance at every opportunity. And as the captain turns the boy around, as if to examine him, he realizes he's as stiff as a board, just not where it matters. And the captain has a choice to make, because Thomas is very much his type. Unassuming. And I'd like to think that the scene fades out with that question lingering at the captain's fingertips.
Dr. Gastrell has tears running down his cheek now. In truth, I'm just so happy that you both came. At the exact same moment on this night, Dr. Gastrell and Sally No-Face pull scalpels out of their pockets. Different parts of the city, the exact same moment, though you have no way of knowing that. And at the exact same moment, they both say, I'm just so scared of being alone. The night move. What do you afraid is going to happen if you fail, Haskell?
I'm afraid Gastrell will end me quickly and end the doctor slowly.
It's worse than that. You are going to be given up as a sacrifice to whatever he found down here. You do get advantage, though, because you're in direct defense of Dr. Mortimer, so that's good. This is going to be with, it sounds like vitality, I guess?
What I've got planned is reason.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to tell you what I'm going to try and do?
I'd love to hear it, yeah.
So he's kind of sat on this kind of ramshackle dais that he's made out of bits of scrap examination tables. I think Haskell has been listening to this nonsense and just kind of letting it wash over him, and has just looked for the supporting point of this, and he's just going to kick it away and watch
Okay.
Gastrell fall.
Take it. Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay. 10.
Nice. Very good indeed. Please narrate the scene.
So Haskell hears something about wanting us to be there, and he's just stopped listening a while ago, trying to solve this violent mathematical equation, and sees there is a kind of buckling metal support, and he just walks in and he kicks it, and it kind of groans, and there is this kind of wobbling of this kind of tower. It's not that high, but as he kind of sees it teetering this way and that, and Gastrell, who's obviously ranting and raving, start to kind of realize that he is unsteady and about to come crashing down to earth, Haskell grabs one of the tables and kind of looks at where Gastrell's going to fall and just plonks it down, and watches Gastrell topple down, and his back hits the rim of this table with a sickening crunch, and his body falls to the ground, spasming until it stops moving entirely. And Haskell says, to the doctor. Looks like you fell, Mum.
Oh, what a pity.
Are you?
That's a lie. Oh.
Are you going to add something from Dr. Gastrell to your work, your grisly tableau?
Oh, that would break plausible deniability.
You are down in the middle of a Roman ruin. No one is going to find you or know.
The doctor turns and looks at Haskell. I must ask you to turn your back now.
Very good, Mum.
Please, may I take something for the child?
Please do. What are you going to take?
Oh, as much as I hate. Oh, nothing. Nothing aesthetic. I'll take his blood.
Oh,
If there is a way in which I can do that.
that sounds like the rest of your night phase. Ms. Jean-Baptiste, your second clue is Sally is scared of being alone. And then she says,
"Now, it's my turn to ask a question, although it's not one I expect you to answer. How will you look amidst my collection, I wonder?"
and she leaps forward with her scalpel. This is the night move. What are you afraid is going to happen right now? I will note that per the rules of the game, you can't defeat or capture Sally right now. All you can do is just survive this moment.
I think I am afraid that she might slice off a part of my face.
It's worse than that. You are in a very dimly lit part of the gallery where no one is at, and she's going to take the time to carefully remove your face after she bleeds you out. This is going to be with... Well, I will give you the option of just running away right now, but Sally will have marked you. Or if you fight back, that's where the roll will happen.
Can I? Can I draw a card?
Sure. From your deck of devil cards?
No.
Oh, another one. Which one?
Well, from one masked individual to another.
Oh, very good. So you want to stop her in her tracks, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Get her attention.
Yeah.
I like this. This is good. What are you afraid is going to happen right now if this doesn't work?
Oh, second
There's the
first.
same thing.
Same as the first.
Same thing. Okay,
Second.
good. All right. Please go ahead and roll with reason for quick thinking.
Oh no.
Oh, that's the one you just lowered.
I just lost my reason.
You do get advantage though if that's in your if that's in your PQ, you get to mark it. So
I guess it is. Oh god.
so roll a third die.
Thank God. Yes. Okay. So that's 2 6s minus 1. So
okay.
11.
That's good. Yeah. How do you get her to back off and turn away?
I think there was the expectation that Phoebe would do anything but just stand there as she's charging, and I think it catches her off balance. It's just the moment hesitation which allows Phoebe to just reach into her bag and fold the tips of her fingers around the card and draw it out of her bag.
Fantastic. Keep going.
Just a moment before you do whatever it is you're going to do. I'm sure it's quite bloody, and I have perhaps an acquaintance that might find it entertaining. I have something for you.
She stops, intrigued, and takes it.
What is this?
A gift of a sort, I believe. I'm not quite sure what it is.
We'll end the scene there. Strike that from your PQ as well as marking it. Let's go to the dawn. Let's see here. Go ahead and we have Memory as the Servant. Another factotum move here. Oh, what memento are you taking from Dr. Gastrell's lair?
I'm going to take the record that he was playing.
Ah, very good.
Because it has some quality when you play it, and I'm going to gift it to the doctor.
Fantastic. Mark XP for that. And Dr. Mortimer, you can add that record, which I'm sure is going to be a favorite of your collection.
Oh,
to your personal order.
Joyous day, Kalukale.
Kalukale. Fantastic. What are other moves here? You can go ahead and note which body part you're taking. We'll do all the narration on the body parts next time, Dr. Mortimer. For the one that you got from Dr. Gastrell, as well as the one the Resurrectionists bring back to you. Let's go ahead and answer our questions. The first two are not getting answered, but there might be echoes in the night. Haskell?
Yeah, the spine and the spasming.
Oh, fantastic.
Right at the end, yeah.
Yeah, very good. Let's keep going there. Did you have a scene showing your secret private life in London?
The moment in Clara Yarborough's room when I cleaned it.
Oh, fantastic. Did you engage in a petty reprisal of someone? Yes, you did. I'll remind you that your 6th XP is clearing the track, so that's how that goes. Dr. Mortimer, did you get an echo in the night?
The bloody teeth from the Adonis, and then the bloody teeth in the mortuary.
Oh, yes. Very good indeed.
Mm.
Did you engage in romantic or emotional behavior at odds with your exterior?
Yes, when I had a chat with Haskell at the beginning, I believe.
That's right. And you certainly dismissed the possibility of a supernatural explanation.
Ghosts do not exist. I refuse to hear anything of the sort. How dare you?
Indeed. Go ahead and mark your XP. And Ms. Jean-Baptiste, did you get an echo in the night?
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, Phoebe was having a good time at the end, but I don't think that was quite it.
Did you have a face-to-face encounter with the dark entity? Certainly you did. Did you counsel someone using your supernatural affinities as the basis for that advice?
I don't think so.
Okay. Fantastic. And although you might be able to make the case at the Beale house, possibly. Just because you presented yourself as like supernatural investigators here to help them, I think that qualifies. But if you want to take that one.
All right.
And I think that is going to be it for our dawn phase. So, shall we do some stars and wishes before we go today? Whoever would like to go first, please do.
I don't know how everyone else felt about that, but I just felt like that was really fast and kind of loose and kind of just a bit more, I don't know, like dangerous and sexy. I don't know why it felt like that. I've got like a few individual stars. I really enjoyed Phoebe with D.I. Pettigrew. I said in our break that they had way more patience with him than I ever would have had. I really enjoyed our vulnerable scene, Jess. I thought that was really fun. Jason, your wicked bargaining as the trickster is incredibly fun to watch. Jess screaming, "There was a fire," which is really good. And the fact that you two, as the ghost hunting odd couple, I thought it was really funny. That like you've got one person who resolutely kind of loves ghosts, and the other person, can't be hearing of it.
Love is a strong word.
Yeah. Tolerate, I guess. And the bit at the end, which absolutely floored, I think, me and everyone, was when Wren, you said, "Can I draw a card?" And we all thought a demon tarot card, and you were like, "Oh no!" That was amazing. I love that so much.
Or similarly, stars for the card, because that pulling that blindsided me. That was beautiful. I loved that. I loved running the ritual of salt and smoke in the middle of the room. That was such a ballsy move. I really loved the way that you worked it in. I thought that was fantastic. Matt, your conversation with DI Constable Fairbanks just had me in fits, and I was trying so hard not to laugh the whole time. The disrespect was so real. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed that. I just feel like we got to see a bit more of like Haskell's like personality in all of that tonight. I thought that was brilliant. And Jason, the baby, that's going to take some time to get over. Thank you for scarring us that way.
Haskell, Matt, I really enjoyed like just seeing how Haskell works quietly, like because we've seen him on his own when he's like hunting and trying to like actively do business, but I enjoyed seeing him like just be in a moment by himself before being interrupted by the detective. And then for Dr. Mortimer, and the decision to actually go to Dr. Gastrell and the whole thing that led from that point, Jason, your brain, your mind, why is he in a temple underneath? But yeah, just like that decision, which you didn't need to do, and everything that led from it, making this incredible scene. I liked that. And then Dr. Mortimer, just the contrast between the two of us in the house, and then as well, like seeing that moment in your flashback where you're thinking about Cora, and then you start to talk about Cecelie. I was like, okay. So I really enjoyed seeing that side of Dr. Mortimer again. It's great.
Yeah, star for the both of the sort of flashback, the body part scenes and the Janus mask scenes. Those were great. Really, really just terrific and vivid, and I got a really good sense of those characters, who those characters are. Star for Haskell, and yeah, I'll second the note about like kind of seeing this like further deepening or development of like Haskell's character and like what Haskell's deal is, and that was very enjoyable to watch. And yeah, very, very, very fun. Love the just the decision to do Beacon in the Dark. It's one of my favorite moves in the game, and because I like the scenes that develop from it, and I like the kind of role play that happens as a result. Is sort of role play I like to do, sort of like responding to questions and like kind of having conversations, and so that was really a lot of fun. And I was also just really happy that we had this like opportunity to have like two scalpel wielding psychopaths, like in the night phase, like doing their thing. Really, three scalpel wielding psychopaths if we think about it.
Yes, but mine's not dull. And
and so that was all really fun. Really, I agree, Matt. Like the session felt a lot like more dangerous and sexy in a way that the between sometimes, well, at least like it didn't feel like kind of like there was the looseness, I guess. This sort of like, it wasn't like buttoned up Victoriana as much as it was just like this like kind of like feral, gnarly, sexy nastiness. I don't know if the unseen choice was affected that. Maybe it did. I don't know, but those were also really fun too. The unseen narrations were great. Yeah, I don't think I have any wishes in particular, except that just excited to have Miss Quinn back and all that stuff. So
yeah, I wasn't going to give up the idea, like, because it was a perfect night to have a Hargrave House phase.
It was, yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to sacrifice that unless I can come up with something interesting to do. Like, investigating a threat was off. So I just thought about going after Gastrell, and I'm glad that everyone kind of followed that. But what I will say is, in my head, I was like, I've got a plan for this. Jason can't ruin it too much.
Oh, I certainly can.
I'm in a fucking Roman temple. What?
I don't make anything easy. If I can help it.
Yeah, but that
that's
was
brilliant, though.
So good, so good. But yeah, no, I can't wait to have everyone back at the table next week. I think that'll be super fun, having to explain everything. It's Donald Glover walking in with the pizza every time someone's off.
While you were in the bath,
except there wasn't really a fire, right? So.
Exactly. Thanks for watching, everyone, and especially a huge thanks to Jason and the Gauntlet for partnering up with us on this actual play and for letting us get our grubby little mitts on the nearly finished new edition of the game. And once again, a huge, huge thank you to my patrons who help keep the lights on here and also allow me to do indulgent things such as this and pay my incredibly talented cast and crew for their time. Thank you, thank you, thank you, a million times thank you. I'll be back next time, but until then, it's farewell and safe passage.